WVTC Radio Detroit. You can find us on Facebook, YouTube, our website, www.wvtcradio.com, or download our WVTC app from the Play Store for Android users and the App Store for iPhone users. Thank you for tuning to WVTC Radio Detroit and the Community Bell Show with your host, former Wayne County Commissioner, Edna Bell. Stay tuned for insightful information Detroiters will find valuable. Text a friend and tell them to watch with you for news you can use. And now, your host, Edna Bell.
Well, hello. Good afternoon, Detroit. It's your host, Edna Bell, with the Community Bell Show, and we are happy to have you with us on this Monday at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. We have a wonderful guest today, just a wonderful young lady. I've known NIKHOL for a number of years in all sorts of different capacities, but today, NIKHOL Atkins is going to talk to us, among other things. She may want to talk about some other things, but today's main topic is 1,000 Women Strong. NIKHOL has been with us for a Detroit area for a long time, doing all sorts of wonderful things, and she's going to be our guest today. Hi, NIKHOL. How are you?
Hello. How are you today?
I am absolutely wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. But before NIKHOL starts, I want you to tell how we reconnected. She and the mayor of Lathrop Village, the Honorable Kelly Garrett, presented a wonderful brunch, just an absolutely wonderful brunch last Sunday at a marvelous spot. And many of you probably don't even know it exists, but let me tell you about it. It's called the Winder Inn. It is a bed and breakfast downtown Detroit on Winder Street, directly across from Ford Field and Tiger Stadium. It's owned by a Black woman, and it's a simply wonderful location. So if you're thinking about having that wonderful night out with your significant other, or if you just want to have an event for the ladies or whoever, consider the Winder Inn. It is a great spot right downtown Detroit at 123 Winder Street. The food was great. The company was wonderful. The location was excellent. We were outside, ladies and gentlemen, and it was 91 degrees, but there was a breeze. And we were so comfortable. We had photographers and we had great food. And so just know that the Winder Inn is available for those special occasions. And thank you to NIKHOL and to Kelly for choosing that spot and supporting a Black woman. It was a great opportunity for us to meet and talk about all sorts of issues. And it's nice because this station, WVTC Detroit, is owned by a Black woman, Miss Sandy Rose. And so, we're just doing our thing together. So WVTC Detroit, winning victories through Christ, is what WVTC stands for. And we're just honored to be able to be a part of it. NIKHOL, tell us about yourself.
Yeah, so a little bit about me. I grew up in Oak Park, Michigan. Went to schools, went to college here in Michigan. I went to Ferris State, got an undergraduate there, got a master's degree from Central Michigan, and I got a master's degree from Western as well. I won't even bore you with the community colleges I went to, but I believe in public universities. Okay. So that's my background. And I worked for many years in union organizing at the American Federation of Teachers, Michigan. And I've also worked with, Michigan Roundtable for Diversity and Inclusion. And I worked for the party for a number of years. And many years back in those times, I worked for Jewel Ware, Wayne County Commissioner Jewel Ware, when she was the chair of the Wayne County Commission. And so that's how I came to know the Bells. So, yes. And, I've been around doing, party stuff and various candidates and issue campaigns over the years.
Well, we are so glad that you were, because that means that has made you who you are. And we're just appreciative of your taking all the time and lending your talents to help so many. What is the project you're currently working on?
Absolutely. So as you referenced, we had a brunch last weekend, and the brunch was the brainchild of Kelly Garrett, who's the mayor of Lathrop. And we were working out together, and we were talking about telling our stories. And I was talking about being able to pull together my story, because that is an art, right? As we referenced at the brunch, we come from a lineage of our ancestry. We told stories, right? We passed stories down, and we continue to do that. And stories look different. You don't even think about a story when you think about wrestling. Wrestling has story arcs, right? Yes. Your stories that your grandmama and them used to watch have story arcs. Any movies, any series, all the Netflix stuff, they all have story arcs, and that all came from different cultures or whatever, have stories. And so we do a lot of things with our stories, and we entertain with our stories. We move people to action with our stories. And I think that's where we're rooted in moving people to action with our stories. Absolutely. And that's what that event came from. And I was beginning to work with 1,000 Women Strong. And the goal of 1,000 Women Strong is to represent Black women's issues as it relates to their communities, as it relates to their families, and centering us, because often we don't get centered in these issues. We do the work, and people put things on our backs and we carry it, but we don't always center ourselves and let us be the forefront. And so Absolutely. That's what 1,000 Women Strong is about.
And we carry stuff for everybody.
Yes, we do.
Not just for us, but we carry everybody's stuff. And the stories that were mentioned at that brunch were just so moving, because everybody had a story.
Yes.
And the stories, even though the stories were different, they were all the same in that the teller was carrying something for somebody else.
Yes.
And so it's so important for us to remember that, our story is our story, and let's not be ashamed of our story,
Right.
because oftentimes we don't tell it because we don't think that anybody will understand our story. We think that we are the only one who
Yes.
went through whatever it is. And once we start telling the story to each other, we find, oh, you did that too? Oh my goodness.
Absolutely.
You had that happen to you? And
Yep.
so the stories, even though very, very different in detail, are much the same as it relates to who we are and how we got to where we are. So continue to talk about what's going on with 1,000 Women Strong.
So, as I mentioned, we're about centering women's issues, and one of the things that affects Black women disproportionately is student loan debt. So we often get applauded because we are the ones getting the degrees and opening all the businesses and doing all the things, but that comes at a price. And one of the several different prices, and one of the prices that comes with is student loan debt. We are disproportionately carrying more student loan debt than any other demographic. And while student loan debt is an issue for many folks, again, it disproportionately affects us. And so what 1,000 Women Strong is doing is lifting up that issue. During the campaign, Biden talked about relieving some student loan debt. And so we're just reminding him, hey, remember you said you're going to relieve some student loan debt? Let's do that. Let's do that now.
Yes.
And so that's what this campaign is doing now through the end of September. And as part of that campaign, we're asking folks to tell their stories. We're asking folks to sign the petition. And just to start talking with people about how student loan debt has impacted your life. Some folks have decided to not have children because of student loan debt. Some folks have decided not to start that business. Some folks have decided they can't buy a house because they have student loan debt. And what we're asking is for the president to relieve $50,000 of student loan debt for each borrower. And so again, it's Black women leading the charge, but everyone who has student loan debt will benefit if that happens. And so that's what we're doing. And again, the brunch was to lift up stories. And some of us had stories about student loan debt. And some of us carry shame about student loan debt,
Yes.
about the reasons we got it out. We've been having a series of town halls, virtual, basically discussions, more than town halls, discussions, informal conversations about how you felt or how you feel about your student loan debt. And there are folks who have, like myself, I have 2 master's degrees and I have student loan debt. I have folks that I know that have PhDs and MDs, and, they say things like, some people who have had babies while they were in school and they were like, well, I should have taken out that loan debt, but if I wouldn't have taken out that debt, and I wouldn't have had a place to stay. Well, you needed that loan.
Yes.
And as Black women, we often feel that we should go without, right? And
we do go without oftentimes because of it.
Yeah. And so that's what we're talking about. We're getting into the story of how does student loan debt impact you? It's not just a thing we talk about, it's a thing that's impacting our lives. And so that's what we're doing by telling the story, getting folks to sign the petition, and sharing.
And the stories are about not just Black women. It's about Black families,
Yes.
Black husbands,
Yes.
Black children,
Yes.
Black communities.
Absolutely.
It's about all of that, because when we talk about the Black woman has an outreach that's so far we can hardly even see it. It reaches
Absolutely.
so far. And so we're talking about the entire community and the entire country based on what Black women have gone through. And so it isn't just like I said, it's not just our story, it's everybody. So one of the ladies at that meeting talked about she has a PhD, but that came at a cost.
Yes.
For her children, her husband,
Yes.
all of her family had to pay a cost for that PhD. But she's helping people. That's the key. We're helping so many people. And my personal opinion is that if there is student debt from someone who is either in the medical field or in the educational field, all of that should be wiped out. Because first of all, we don't pay teachers or educators enough as it is.
Absolutely not.
And then for them to have to deal with the student loan that's associated with them getting that degree so that they can help people, their student loans ought to be immediately wiped out.
Absolutely.
That ought to be at the top of the list.
Absolutely.
And then we can go on down from there. And it shouldn't be just $50,000. It should be whatever that loan is for educators ought to be completely wiped out.
Now we can have a whole nother conversation about reparations and how that impacts us, right?
Oh my goodness, yes. Oh, no, we're gonna talk about that another time. That's another story. You're right.
But it goes together because, like you said, teachers don't get paid enough, right? Yes. And I work for the American Federation of Teachers, and Detroit Federation of Teachers is one of the largest teachers union in the state, and a lot of those folks have stopped continuing their education because they owe so much debt and they can't make enough money, and it just don't make sense.
It does not make sense, and it seems like such a simple answer. This one isn't hard to figure out. This one is not hard to figure out, that if you start with the teachers and the educators, start with them and then move on along. But and particularly now, when you consider what's going on in our school system, and we've got to divert a little bit because we need to talk about school is about to start.
Yes.
In a couple of weeks. Mm-hmm. And in some places it has already started. Mm-hmm. But let's consider that children under 12 years old can't get a vaccine. Mm-hmm. So they're not protected. How, pray tell, are we going to protect these babies if they don't wear a mask? And if everybody doesn't wear a mask? And if everybody that can get vaccinated isn't vaccinated? I mean, there's some things that are so simple, it's scary to me that people don't get it. Because I went to the Detroit Public School Board meeting last week. That was their first face-to-face meeting since the COVID. It was last week, and I went to the meeting and I sat there and I listened to many people who were talking under public comment, who were adverse to wearing a mask and having children wear a mask. Well, I would submit I don't like wearing a mask either. However, it isn't just about me. It's about everybody around me.
Yes.
And particularly about the babies who can't get a vaccine. Mm-hmm. We've got to somehow protect these children. And if that means wearing, and I have heard people say, well, the mask doesn't really protect you. The virus can get through the mask. If you wear the mask, at least you have a better chance.
It provides some barrier.
Yeah, there is some barrier. There is some barrier. But babies can't make decisions on their own. Mm-hmm. So we have to make some decisions for them. So for Detroit Public Schools, masks are mandatory. Mm-hmm. I don't have a problem with that. There were people who had some problems, but I don't have a problem with that because our first responsibility is to protect the babies. Mm-hmm. As adults, that's our job. Mm-hmm. And when you say that, oh, you can put up the plastic barriers between the seats. Mm. Well, interestingly enough, the superintendent did respond to that. Mm. And he said that doesn't help because now the air isn't circulating at all around those children. Mm. And so I never thought about it, but I said, okay, I guess that probably makes sense. Mm. We need to make sure that we've got proper ventilation.
Yes. Well,
in those buildings.
Well,
and if it isn't built in like it is in the new schools, then you need to have a ventilation system in each classroom.
There you go.
So they've got some CARES money, so that they need to figure out how to make sure that money goes directly to protecting our babies. Mm-hmm. I know I diverted, but I just needed to get that in there.
No, that's okay. No, this is a conversation that's ongoing because the science is changing every day. People aren't sure. And this is my personal opinion, I'll probably get in trouble. I think there are too many people having this conversation who are experts.
Yes.
And giving their opinions. And opinions are great, but they're not informed, so they're not helpful.
Yeah, your opinion doesn't matter if you're not a medical person. So it's nice you've got one, but I really don't care about it. As long as if you're not a medical person, I don't care what your opinion is.
Exactly.
Your opinion doesn't matter.
Yes.
And if you don't believe the medical people, then you probably don't go to a doctor, I'm thinking. And I'm sure most people have a doctor and go to the doctor. So if you go to the doctor, well, those who do go to the doctor and you believe what your doctor is telling you, but you don't believe him when he talks about masking the children, then I probably am not going to listen to you either. Some folks I'm just not going to listen to. And there's nothing you're going to be able to tell me if you're not a medical expert.
I would agree with that.
Mm-hmm. So we've got so many conversations that need to be had that speak to, and I go back to the Black woman.
Absolutely, because we're the, and when you talk about, this, when we talk about the base vote and getting the vote out, Black women are a large part of that base vote, and as has been proven in the last few election cycles, it's the Black women who just put their thumb on it, and it pushes it over. We know this by how we circulate our dollars fiscally, right?
Absolutely.
If Black women stop shopping one day, the system goes shut down.
The system is done. And then now we go back to that student loan debt. Relieve the student loan debt, your economy immediately goes up.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I'm not as I talked about, expert. I'm not an economy expert, but that just makes sense to me. I'm sure there's some data somewhere that could substantiate that. And I think it would just free up people. It would free up people, mind, body, and spirit, because that's the other thing. Maybe I can come back on and talk about, I'm very much about well-being. One of the reasons that I signed up with 1000 Women Strong is because they're about centering Black women and the issues that affect them in mind, body, and spirit. Because if you don't have your basic needs met, you can't have well-being, right? If you are afraid that you're going to be put out of your house, if you're afraid that the student loan debt it can be crippling to some people. Absolutely. And so you can't feel at your best. You can't, your mind, body, and spirit aren't going to be well if you have this hanging over your head. And so that's why it's important to okay, this is one of the things we can do to ensure that Black women are living at their optimal best. And that's always the goal.
Absolutely. And we were just talking about that offline before the show started. We were talking about there's so much going on in our communities, in our world today.
Yes.
If you're not really careful, you could just, as she called it, go down the rabbit hole.
Oh, for sure.
If you have to intentionally watch how you're feeling about things.
Yes.
Watch the kind of things you're thinking about.
Yes.
And just hold on to some balance, because if you're not careful, if you look at, first of all, debt,
yes,
the economy,
yes,
healthcare, world issues. We were just talking about what's going on in Afghanistan, just taking care of children.
Yes.
Now, and you've got the COVID and the vaccine to deal with. Many of us have elderly parents and family members that you have to deal with. I mean, if you take all of that, you could very easily just lose it.
Oh, so very easily. And I can tell you, I can be frank, I've dealt with depression before. So I feel very strong about well-being, and I've had breast cancer before. So I've dealt with life situations that will take you to the edge if you don't have the tools and the resources to, like you said, balance it, because you definitely will go down a rabbit hole.
Yeah.
And you don't even know that you're going down the rabbit hole, right? And so
exactly,
you're absolutely right.
And before you know it, and you said, "Well, how did I get here? What happened? What's going on?" And you're not only do you need all of those basic things taken care of, but you got to have somebody you can talk to.
You do.
You've got to have somebody that you trust is going to keep what you say confidential.
Yes.
Someone you trust. When they say something to you, it's coming from a place of love and support.
Yes.
Someone that you trust has maybe been there and can understand what you're saying. And if they haven't been there, at least they're a good listener.
Yes.
So, you've got to have you have to think about so many things as we try to navigate what's going on in our lives today.
Yeah.
We just have some stuff.
We do. We do. And everybody doesn't have the same level of resources. And some of us come from a place of privilege. And while we're Black women having this conversation, and you can be in two places at once. You can be in a marginalized space and an oppressed space and a privileged place. And so for me, at the time I was going through what I was going through, I had health care, I had a place to live, I had a car, I had family support. There's some people who don't have any of those things.
Yes.
And they still have to navigate through the same hardship that I had to navigate. So it's harder.
Exactly. It's harder is an understatement. And many of them don't get through it. simply because they don't have the support systems that many of us have. They don't have a family. They don't have friends. They don't have a job. They don't have, as you said, healthcare. Lord, healthcare has become like $1 million question now.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's so many things that we have to think about as we talk about 1 million women strong. And 1 million women strong is
You done made us 1 million. We was 1,000.
no, I'm going to 1 million. I know it's 1,000, but we're
That's right. Put it out there.
But what's out there? We can do this. We can make it 1 million. I want it to be 1 million, only because I remember the Million Woman March back in 98 that I went to in Philadelphia.
Yes.
And we can do that. So we're gonna change that. We're gonna make that 1,000 woman 1 million women. And so how do we do that? Tell them how they can join the cause, NIKHOL.
So there are lots of ways we can do it. One of the ways is if you go to 1,000 spelled out. You can go 1,000 Women Strong is a way to get there. 1KWomenStrong.com. And you can sign up there to get information about the campaign, because it's not just in Michigan. It's nationwide. Michigan is one of the targeted states, but you can go there and you can find out information about how you can sign up for the petition that we take to the White House. You can sign up for you to tell your story. If you have a story about student that you like to share, you can definitely go there to tell that story. And if you want to get the shortcut and avoid that, you can go straight to cancel50kstudentdebt.org. Again, that's cancel, spelled out, 50kstudentdebt.org. And that will take you right to the petition to cancel student debt.
Okay, everybody, you got that? Cancel50k.org. Sign the petition, be a part of the solution, because this really is looking for a solution.
It's cancel50kstudentdebt.org, and then you can go to 1KWomenStrong.org.
Wonderful.
.com. Yes, there you go.
All right, wonderful. And it's just such an important cause, because we're not just helping the women, we're helping the entire community when we do that.
Absolutely. And yes, the entire community, not just Black women, but people across, it cuts across.
Absolutely. It's just, it's the thing to do. And we are just happy that we're going to be a part of that. That's what we're going to do. We're going to make that happen. And as soon as we come back from this short break, we're going to talk some more about, I know it's 1,000 women, but we're going to start calling 1 million women, but we're going to 1,000 women strong. So we'll be right back after this wonderful song, and we're going to talk about 1,000 women strong again. Hello, hello, hello. We are back with our special guest today, Miss Nicole, and she is with 1,000 Women Strong. That's going to soon be a million. She is with 1,000 Women Strong. Nicole, if someone wanted to get involved with you and the organization, how would they do that?
They can send me an email directly at NIKHOL, spelled NIKHOL, at 1KWomenStrong.com. Feel free to reach out to me via email.
Okay, you got that, everybody? If you'd like to get involved with the movement, it's Nicole at 1KWomenStrong.com. And again, it is 1,000 women strong, but it really is families, it's communities, it's all of us. What other states are involved with this, Nicole?
So there are a few other targeted states: Texas, North Carolina, Georgia, California. Did I say Georgia? I'm forgetting one. Texas, North Carolina, Georgia, Michigan, California.
Okay, very good. Some of the biggest states.
Yes, and California is targeted because that's where the wonderful Vice President Kamala Harris is from.
Absolutely, absolutely. She is a result of 1,000. No, probably 1 million or more Black
Absolutely,
women.
absolutely.
So we are
Absolutely.
happy to have her in that position, and she's doing a simply phenomenal job. As we close, I want you to talk more about the percentages and the amounts of money that are associated with 1,000 Women Strong, because I don't know that people really recognize how much money is out there that we're talking about.
And when you say how much money is out there, you mean
How much is owed? Do we have any?
I don't have that number in front of me. That number in front of me. When we talk about it, I'm trying to see what I have here. Yeah, I don't have that number in front of me, to be honest. I don't want to make up stuff. But there's a lot of, I think it's I think you probably got that information from the palm card that I gave you.
Yes.
We make up 1/3, more than 1/3 of, or 2/3 of the amount of student debt owed.
Okay, that
if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, that was. I think that was the number I remembered from the event.
Yeah.
But it was just a staggering amount when you consider the amount of debt, and then how much of that is owed by Black women.
Yeah,
it's just staggering. And again, as you said, one of the things, if you want to buy a house, that's one of the things that they will ask you, and that can be detrimental to your ability to buy a home. How much student debt you have. And that just seems so counterproductive, that you can't buy a house because you went to school to better yourself.
What I also want to raise up is that not only do we owe more student debt, unfortunately, when we get into the workplace, we have to deal with inequity, right? And so, you might not be privy to that job because you're a Black woman. The numbers are there. We just had the day that I think it was a couple weeks ago, where Black women finally earned just as much men as white men. So it takes us most of the year to get to that point. So there's some other factors in place, not just about student debt, but yes, you did what you were supposed to. You went to school, you got an education, and then you go into the workforce, and then there's this ceiling that keeps bumping your head. So that also has to be factored into why, we need to get rid of the student debt, and to acknowledge that, no, we can't make the money that we were told that we would make because of the inequities in the workforce.
Absolutely. And that's one of the things that was brought out during the census also, is the amount of money that women, and then first of all, it's women.
Yes.
And then it's Black women who earn less than their white male counterparts and their white female counterparts.
Yes.
And so it isn't. It's a number that just should not be. After you have done all the things you were supposed to do, gotten to be experts in your field of study, and still don't earn the amount of money that your counterparts are earning. And interestingly enough, that was signed into law when Obama was president. and it still has not come to fruition.
Yes.
It just seems there's something just kind of wrong with that, inherently wrong with
Oh, for
that.
sure.
Absolutely. And so we've got lots of things that we need to deal with. And again, if we can just get the student loan taken care of, that's one of the steps that will help everything else fall into place. Because I go back to the economy. Black women don't have to pay, what is it, many of them $400 or $500 a month in student loan debt. And
Oh,
imagine what that would do to our economy.
yes. There in the last town hall that we had, the conversation that we had, there's some folks who were paying upwards of someone said they paid more in student loans than they paid in their mortgage. How about
Oh
that?
my gosh. That's
Yes.
incredible.
Hmm.
That is absolutely incredible.
And they don't have a PhD, or they don't have a MD. They have a master's, and so yes, because you have the issue of the compounded interest and
Yes.
all those things that we did not factor into when we took out those student loans. And so yes, that's how you get there.
That's incredible. That's absolutely incredible. Talk about the town halls that you're holding and when those are and how people can get involved with those.
Absolutely. Again, if you go to the website at 1K Women Strong, I always confuse it if it's .com or .com. You can find those town halls. We have them nationally. On the opposite week, I have one here in Michigan. It's virtual, but I center Michigan folks. And we're going to have one this Thursday, which is the 19th at 7 p.m. This is the third one. The first one was on Gen X and student debt, because I'm Gen X, and so I started out first,
Okay.
and my friends. And then the second one was on Black entrepreneurs and student debt. And then this one coming up, which is the 19th, which is Thursday, which starts at 7 p.m., is on millennials and student debt. Because we have different perspectives about how the student debt impacts us. And so again, as we tell these stories, we want to get all the different perspectives about how student debt impacts our lives and the different ways and perspectives that it shows up where you might not have thought about it because you haven't had that lived experience.
Absolutely. And these start at 7 o'clock. How long do they last?
So we've done a thing because we want to make them informal. So before they were an hour, and so now we're going to make them 30, no more than 40 minutes, so it can just be an informal conversation about folks' experiences. And so we won't be on longer than 40 minutes, probably 30 minutes, and they generally start at 7 o'clock.
Okay, and they can go to 1kwomen.strong.com in order to find out the login.
Absolutely. Or you can email me again at NIKHOL, NIKHOL @1kwomenstrong.com, and I will send you the registration link.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Well, this has been such a great conversation. People just need to know.
They do.
Information is power.
It is. And so spread that petition far and wide, because we need to get those signatures, and everyone knows, probably who watches you, they know the petition game. You need to get those petitions,
right?
As many petitions as possible.
Absolutely. And how long do they have to get them? When's the deadline for the petition?
The deadline, we hope to have this puppy wrapped up by the middle of September. So, the second week in September, we hope to have the petitions.
Okay, because some folks will wait till the last minute.
Yes, we will. Don't wait. Do it now, because you never know when they're going to pull the rug from up under us.
And you never know what's going to happen. You may get, have something happen that you can't get to the line to sign it. So do it right now. Right. Sign that petition. Let's get those names to the White House, just to help the president move along with his decision that he promised last year. We're just helping him move it along so that we can get this taken care of. And if he wants to impact the economy, this is a definite way to do it. And you would see an immediate impact on the economy when you do that. So we're just happy that you chose to join us. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
For joining us. I just appreciate it so much. And I just like, I like highlighting all these young ladies who have just done so well that I've known over these years, and they're out there just doing their thing. And I'm just so proud of all of you. It's just wonderful to see you all still involved in the fight, still making a dent in all the things that we need to take care of. So again, thank you so much for being with us. We will see you next Monday, everyone. Monday at 4 o'clock. Fourth Monday is Sheriff's Monday. We'll have Sheriff Washington on with us, and he'll talk about the Sheriff's Department and what's going on in the Sheriff's Department. NIKHOL, thank you again, 1,000 Women Strong, for being with us to talk about that petition that everybody needs to sign. And understand, you don't have to be a woman to sign this petition.
No, anybody can sign it.
Anybody can sign the petition. Anybody can sign the
Cancel
petition.
50kstudentdebt.org.
There you go. See, anybody can sign the petition. Sign it. Let's make sure we can get it done and get to the White House so that we can help the president with his decision. Thank you again. Thank you, everybody, for joining us on Community Bell on this wonderful Monday. It's raining a little bit, but that's all right. It's sunny inside because we're inside and we're sunny and happy. Have a great week. We'll see you next Monday. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks.
Thank you for listening to Community Bell with your host, former Wayne County Commissioner Edna Bell. This broadcast was brought to you by WVTC Radio Detroit. You can find us on Facebook, YouTube, our website, www.wvtcradio.com, or download our WVTC app from the Play Store for Android users and the App Store for iPhone users. If you've enjoyed this broadcast, tell a friend to tune in. We'll see you next Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern to the Community Bell Show, right here on WVTC Radio Detroit. You're listening to WVTC Gospel Radio Detroit.